Hello and welcome to AG the Champion. Today we'll be doing part 2 of Granturismo 6 walkthrough. I hope to do 100%. That includes the Senna event and also the Moon Buggy mission. So I'll continue from where I left off the last time with the Novice Championship. I'm not going to start the game over, and as you see I have a decent amount of game credits at the moment. We'll be using the 2010 Honda Fit RS. It comes with 118 horsepower, pretty decent for a 1.5 liter engine. CVT, so the sound is not going to be great. Not many people know that there are customization options for this Honda Fit, such as an alternate rear wing, a diffuser at the back, and a bit of an aero kit for the front bumper. With these options and an alternate set of rims, the car looks less like something that will pull up when you order an Uber and more like a sporty compact hatch. In this game, of course, is a performance point rating, which prevents you from bringing cars that are way too powerful for your opponent, meaning that you basically have to have a certain class of car to be able to enter the event. But that's a good restriction though, others that bring a 1000 horsepower Nissan GTR Nismo into each race. Here we go into the race. I'll be using a Logitech G29 racing wheel. It'll be interesting to see how the car feels compared to others that I'll use later on. I'm loving the view from the inside of this car, lots of glass around. The downside is how dark it is, but that's an issue of the game itself because it was released on the PS3 rather than the PS4. It does indeed run on 1080p 60 FPS, although my output may be a bit less than that. Surprisingly, I'm doing 190 kph. I thought this car would be limited being JDM. I take the top line as I pass what looks like a Nissan, nearly hitting the barriers, but the car holds its line. It looks like the first car I passed is a 2D version from the PS2 Granturismo that was put in this game. There are a number of low poly cars, basically cars that don't have much detail, and therefore they take away a bit of the realism from this game. And you'll see later on in the walkthrough there'll be cars which won't have any interiors. But it's fine, we'll just change the camera angle. It takes quite a while for this car to accelerate once it gets above 100. The tunnel is looking spectacular, and then there'll be that glare once I leave it. There's a convertible on my right which is accelerating away from me. I do not have the speed to catch up. I've accidentally tapped the wipers, but I will try and brake as little as I can round the corners so that I can... Okay, wow, I'm about to overtake him on the outside line. Gives me enough space and the move has been made. 2 laps left and I'm not sure if I'll be able to catch the cars ahead, but we'll see. I think this is a solid first car, but to be honest, it's the only first car you're allowed to have because you're forced to purchase it at the beginning. 0 to 60 in under 8.6 is decent, but I think after these races I'll have to buy something more powerful because I'm barely keeping up with the cars ahead of me now. There's a bit of fighting going on with the cars ahead of me. That's good because they're slowing each other down, and that's going to help me catch up. I'll keep the racing line so I'm as quick as possible around these corners, and I'm actually gaining on them. The Mazda is in first place, but he can't seem to shake off the guy behind him. I'd like to see how this plays out. It's like the guy on the left is trying to make a move, but he remains behind. We're approaching that heavy braking zone again, so I'll brake as late as I can using the outside line and carrying more speed around the Mazda. And yes, I've gotten ahead of him. Oh no, the proximity sensor is blinking, but I cannot see him on my left. Oh, he's far behind now. Lap 2 of 2, just a few more corners before the checkered flag. This race was much easier than I expected, it's just that the cars were so spaced out. I'm getting a bit of understeer from the Honda Fit RS, but it really sticks around the corners. If you look at the bottom left, the front wheels are getting very hot. Maybe I should have changed the tires because they are squealing. I'll be temporarily blinded as I leave the tunnel, but now it's all about bringing the car back. The last thing I want to do is bump into a barrier. This time I'm not seeing any red on the racing line. Maybe it was because the last time there were 2 cars on my left, but I've gone round this corner without braking at all. Wow, the cars I got past are far behind. That's the issue with the game. The AI tends to be very weak, or if you have a slow car, it will destroy you. Here we go down the main straight, about to win the first race of this game. Lovely, not too difficult. Apparently the Mazda that was leading was overtaken by this 106, whichever car this is. And I was wrong, there was no Nissan in this race, it was probably the Mitsubishi Galant. 4000 credits, that's not a lot, but the more I progress, the more money I get. So over to race 2 in the mini ring. It's an easy track, but it's small, so it's very hard to overtake. Beautiful scenery, but the trees tend to be two-dimensional. It's hard to tell at first glance, but when you enter photo mode you will see. Another rolling start. I can't wait to see if there are any standing starts for the cars much later on in the game, where we'll all be parked on our grid spots and we'll have to accelerate. I like that they added the rear lights of the hybrid Honda Fit, the clear ones, onto this Fit RS. I completely outbrake myself and partially end up on the grass as I'm trying to get around this basic Honda Fit. I should be able to get him though around this braking point. I slow down enough to prevent me from going off track, and I'm right behind a Nissan March. If this is the sporty version, then it definitely has a few customization options just like the Honda Fit. He's really giving me a run for his money. He does not want to be overtaken, and he closes the door right on the corner. I have to completely mount the curb to prevent running into him. The move has been made though, and he's in my rear view mirror. Battling with a bit of understeer, the car does not want to turn at this moment. There's a Peugeot ahead of me. A solid car for this stage, I'd say. I am catching up. I should get past him before the corner, but I nearly hit him. I have to take evasive maneuvers. He's on my left, but I have the inside line, so I'll brake much later than he does. A bit of a scary moment as I nearly go off track. He tries to overtake me on the right. Almost a carbon copy of what happened previously. But I have the inside line again as I turn left, and I have made the move work. There's a Mazda ahead of me and I think a Toyota ahead of it. This Mazda is really good around the corners, but down the straights, not really. He takes a weird line and decides to climb the curb. I'm not sure why, but he's remained ahead. It looks like the Toyota could be in trouble because he's really winging it around these corners. He's left some space. I'll try to... Oh no, I've bumped into him. Not a very clean overtake, to be honest. And what's worse, that Mazda is probably worth 3-4 times more than this Honda Fit. I catch the driver ahead of me sleeping and I make the move. I've managed to get first place even before the last lap. I'm glad there are 3 laps though because this is a very short track. I'll guard the inside line so he doesn't try and do something funny. He tries to overtake around the outside. That's very brave from him. I will give him the space so he can stay on the outside. But it looks like I'll make this work unless he decides to... Okay, he remains behind. Almost pushing me around the corners though. Wow, at least this race has been more challenging than the previous one. Honestly, I'd expect the Toyota behind me to take the win because it's probably the best suited car for such a truck. Rear wheel drive if I'm not wrong, so its handling is very good. Oop, I locked the front left, completely missing the line, almost ending up in the grass. Thankfully I've not conceded any position because we're so close to the end. Just one more corner left. A very wide line. I am almost on the grass. But yeah, that's another win. There's no way you're telling me I beat a Corolla Live-In with a Honda Fit. That's the one issue with the AI. They're not strong enough. So with that, part 2 is concluded. I'll give you a sneak peek of part 3.